What's happening, fam? L.A.R movement still moving. This is it. What? Lucini pouring from the sky. Let's get rich. What? Okay. Good morning. This video is the black male collective enigma, I guess. Okay, what happened was I was talking to Chrissy and I was like, I was going to explain why women are not getting protected. And I went to specifically when it happens, when the men turn and say, I just can't do it. But she was actually asking specifically about, why black men collectively aren't protecting, providing, and defending, I guess, the women and the community. And I had made a video about that, but it didn't upload. So that's why I condensed the other one that I made yesterday. So I'm explaining this before I get into it, so now let's get into it. So what it is there are if you want to say the black male collective as a group, right? It's a team effort. You work as a group. So you have your developers in one particular place. You have your builders in another particular place. You have your defenders that do their thing. You have your moral arm to keep people in line with their own internal compass. And it all supposed to work cohesively. So what happens in our community is the developers are asked to be, are now asked to be the developers, the builders, the defenders, and the moral compass. Because the moral compass, which is the religious sect, the defenders, which became the quote-unquote street gang sect, and the builders, which became individuals who learned how to build and maintain. You could say like the military trained guys, the contractors, the well-off individuals, the wealthy and the rich of the community, and they would be in that builders or maintainers group. And the developers are the brains, who say, okay, if we put this with this works with this, and then this will work, and this will create this, and then it works with this, and everybody can see how it plays out. Here's where the problem lies. We as a black community kept backing the wrong horse. You see, after the civil rights, when Martin Luther King died, or got assassinated, shouldn't say died, him, Malcolm, they did the same thing prior to Malcolm, Martin, Medgar, Fred Hampton, Stokey had to leave, but they did all that prior with Marcus Garvey. So the community failed the developers. And when the community failed the developers, the history is documented on that. I know it's because of oppression and white supremacy, but at some point, the developers have nowhere to go. Because the developer has nowhere to go, the moral sect, the religious sect, took on all the three sections got in bed with white supremacy. That's why people ran to the church, because Jesus is going to help us. Jesus is going to fix it. Jesus. And to the point where people ignored the next wave of developers. People ignored Claude Anderson. People ignored Francis Cress Welsing. People ignored Amos Wilson. People ignored Neely Fuller. People ignored people like that consistently. And even in our lifetimes, and right before our lifetimes, for the past 40, 50 years. You get what I'm saying? So those people were ignored. So now The church is supposed to do it. Now everybody can look up and say, yeah, the church has failed, but you got some people so far into the church that guess what? They're gonna ride this shit out. So they're taking a part of the community down with them because they don't want to actually empower the community. They just want to ride the ship that they chose to the end. Then you got the enforcement arm. We call the street culture, the gang culture, the underworld, who is supposed to be the guys that are supposed to protect the community. Well, here's the problem. They got in bed with white supremacy. We already know the church is in bed with white supremacy. If y'all don't know, think about it like this. It should be common sense to read the Bible from front to the back, but we still read it like slaves, like they taught in slavery. And how is it that Republicans, Democrats, politicians, every time something happens racially, they can pull a pastor out because the pastors are still in bed with like puppets. Moving on, but that culture, our moral black community culture, has a support system that allows this. Developers probably don't like it because they're like, dude, how can we work with you when you're not going to keep the community in line. You're trying to keep the oppression in line. Same thing goes with the street culture. The street culture does the same thing. Everybody was praising the thugs, the criminals. They're entrepreneurial spirit, but they never did anything positive, never built anything, never defended anything. They enforced their will on the community and turned it to shit. And then now we turn it around years later. Now we realizing, okay, that's the reason why people can say Black Lives Matter and what about black on black crime is because even that quote unquote street enforcement on who works for white people, let's not get it twisted. They get their guns, they get their drugs, they get their money. Their whole structure is appointed by white people because the gangs didn't originally start like that. They actually started as Black Panther offshoots. So now that they're just destructive, that's the problem. But the internal problem is we as a community have a support system for the underworld, the thugs, the drug dealers, the hustlers. They get a pat on the back and eventually they're going to come around. Developers don't like that because guess what? It costs the community and they can't develop anything because everybody's cool with destroying it and then going to the church and say, forgive us. Same thing with the ballers or the maintainers or the builders or the people who can build. They can build with their resources and their knowledge, but the problem is, okay, if I build it and I put my money into it and this and that, we have the enforcement arm that's going to tear it up. We got the church arm that's going to say forgive it. So they're going to destroy it. So why would I? And the community is going to say, well, forgive them that they destroyed it, but you could build another one because you got it like that. And they get tired of that stuff. So it's no collective in unison. This goes with validation of the women and everything also because, see, if we can't build a community, we can't build nothing to maintain to make the women feel safe, or we can't build a structure to validate them because at some point people sell out and buy into white supremacy because at the end of the day, it's more profitable to do so because our community has a support system for people who support white supremacy. So when the guys who develop stuff, why y'all ain't doing it? Well, that's because now you want them to be the think tank to develop it, then to go out there on their own and build it, or get the resources to build it on their own, then defend it on their own, and then be the moral compass on their own. But think about it. I put 4 different things. So 25% of the population has to run 75% of the population, and that 25% of the population has their own family and friends who are in agreement with the builders who are under white supremacy, the religious sects under white supremacy, and the street sect under white supremacy. So no matter what they do, even if they do it all at once, everybody's cool in the black community with it tearing down. So that's why you don't see, and there is nothing in it for that because everybody else has a support system for destroying what the developers can build, but the developers have no support system or rewards or incentives to keep building. So I'm gonna leave it at that, and I think I got it right this time. All right.